Hello, nerds! Welcome to the most recent episode of The Week in Nerdom. This week we are talking about some rather large tours have been announced in the music section, some heavy hitters, if you will. We also have Tears of the Kingdom gave us a 10-minute gameplay demo. We're going to talk all about that. We have a new What If Dark series in comic books. We have casting for the Deadpool 3 movie to speculate over, as well as Daredevil Born Again being a little bit larger than initially anticipated already. It just keeps growing. And then we have Mortal Kombat movie rumors to discuss and everything in between to fill in the gaps. So let's get into it, shall we? Housekeeping! So yeah, the weeks just get weirder and crazier. I don't know. I don't like this adulting thing, but so personal issues personal family issues, I guess, have come up and have severely affected things over the course of the last week and are going to continue to affect our ability to do certain things over the course of the coming weeks. So that means we likely will only have the regular non-live show for approximately 2 weeks, and there might even be, obviously not this week, but maybe next week, we might not have a regular show at all. I will still try and get some sort of content up. I do have a couple of things in the bag that can go up, so we won't just be disappearing for a week or anything like that, but yeah, I can't make any promises as far as anything goes, just because, man, sickness and cancer and things are difficult to schedule around. So we're just playing it by ear. So thoughts and well wishes would be appreciated for the family and such, but I am going to keep working because, you know, I do, this is work. This is a job that I take very seriously. So in spite of the personal issues, we shall move forward. As far as other housekeeping goes, since everything is in such a state of limbo, I can't give you any more detail as to like, well, in this week we're going to be doing this and so on and so forth. So all of that being said, stick with me, nerds. We will continue the once a week episode, if nothing else. And let's get into this week's news before I bum you out anymore. All right, so music section. In the music section, we have a fair amount of new music, some really good new music this week. We also have tours from the likes of Smashing Pumpkins, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfold, and I mean, honestly, that's about it. So let's get into it, shall we? But we got no confirmations, no refutations. We're just jumping right into new music. This is another new song from Linkin Park from the Meteora Sessions. The name of the song is Healing Foot. I'm hoping I didn't have some sort of typo because that sounds wrong, but either way, yeah, this is a little bit heavier than the last unreleased song we got from them because of the lyrical content, considering, you know, Chester and all of the things that went down there. So it was a little bit more difficult to listen to, but honestly, I think a better done song. So it's kind of 6 one way and half a dozen the other, right? This is quality. Like I kind of wish this had actually gone on the record, but either way, we have it now. You should go listen to it, even if you're not really a Linkin Park fan, if you just like, it's radio rock. So I mean, if you're a metalhead, generally speaking, radio rock doesn't do much for you. But this one, it lyrically is pretty heavy. So yeah, give it a shot for sure. Our next piece of new music is a newer band called Of Sulfur, band that I'm getting into more and more as each day goes by. The new track is called Wide Open. This one is featuring Howard effing Jones. I actually just did a proper full-length reaction recording for this, so expect that up soon for a more in-depth conversation as to the quality of this song. But if you like heavy music, you should check this out. If you like beautiful Howard Jones style vocals, you should check this out. Oh wow, this is, I mean, like, I can't find words. It's too good. Go listen to this song. It's probably not for the faint of heart, but it is for literally everybody else. Also new this week is another track from the band Thy Art Is Murder. The name of this song is Until There Is No Longer. So I've been aware of Thy Art Is Murder for some time. Never really got in depth into any of their catalog, though this song is gonna make me reconsider those thoughts. Really, honestly, I don't know why I haven't really dug into Thy Art Is Murder. I don't dislike them necessarily. They just never were really a thing that I wanted to dig into. But this new track is pretty balls out heavy. It's not gonna change anybody's mind. It's not gonna, if you don't like heavy music, if you don't like death metal, you're not gonna like this song, but this is a great example of modern death. I wouldn't say blackened death, but pretty solid on the death metal note. Yeah, if you're in that vein, this track's for you. And then that brings us over into tours. We have some touring announcements to get into. First up in touring announcements, rather large band called The Smashing Pumpkins. Anyone? So the World is a Vampire Tour 2023 starts July 28th in Las Vegas. They are in Vegas for the first 2 nights of this tour. It runs through September 9th in Noblesville, Indiana. Support coming from Rival Sons, Stone Temple Pilots, and Interpol, which is a really interesting combination of openers. Yeah, like I can see, again, this is another instance of like any individual one of those bands kind of makes sense. Mostly STP, considering it's Smashing Pumpkins, but like Interpol with the, okay. Sure. Yeah, so if you are interested, the tickets are not yet on sale. I could not find a ticket link, but they will go on sale very, very soon. Dates have just been announced, and it usually takes a few days after the announcement before tickets are live. So probably by Friday, I would imagine. Either way, it's pretty huge. Go check it out. Our next tour comes from Godsmack. Godsmack are going on tour with Stained. Again, huge bands making announcements for touring. So this tour starts July 18th in St. Louis, runs through August 31st in Austin, Texas, St. Louis, Missouri, obviously. And yeah, this is just like, I think we're getting close to the end of the Godsmack run because Sully and the boys are not going to be putting out new music. So presumably that also means they're going to start cutting back on their touring because they're smarter than Ozzy, I think is their thought, whatever. Just a huge week for the nostalgia tours. The announcements of all of the things are largely nostalgia acts, which brings us next into Avenged Sevenfold. Avenged Sevenfold, they have a new record coming out. We talked about that last week. Now they have officially announced a tour date with support from the band Alexis on Fire, which totally makes sense. Stained and Godsmack, a little disparate, but close enough. Smashing Pumpkins and Interpol. And who was the other one for the Pumpkins one? Rival Sons, also weird. But yeah, so Avenged Sevenfold, Alexis on Fire, those two bands, I'm pretty sure have toured actually a number of times together at this point. That tour starts July 18th, Camden, New Jersey, runs through August 7th in Vancouver, British Columbia. That's in Canada for all you Americans. And yeah, this is not going to be an extensive tour. I believe there's only like 8 or so dates on it. Again, tickets not yet on sale as the dates were only recently announced. So expect tickets to go on sale within the week if you are interested in any of those. We have nothing for regular ass news, so that brings us right into music suggestion for the week, and that is the new of Sulfur record. Like I said, I've really been getting into these guys a lot recently. The name of the record is The Burden of Faith, of spelled O-V, just like the band name O-V, Sulfur, S-U-L-F-U-R. Yeah. These dudes are some of the heaviest modern stuff around. I really, really dig it. It's a little bit more kind of new wave American heavy metal and death kind of really mashed in together. Great bedfellows it makes. I just can't stop listening to this record. Honestly, the last couple of days have been of Sulfur. Oh, that's your suggestion. I'm just gonna keep stumbling over words if I don't stop and move on. Gaming and tech, we actually have a really big correction to make in this episode where it's all about Linus Tech Tips. We'll get into that. We also have a really huge, actually, announcement about the Multiverses game. Some Resident Evil 4 stuff coming out in news, as well as rumors, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, there's a lot going on in gaming and tech, so let's do the thing. Okay, so follow-ups for gaming and tech. So the stream last week kind of got a little bit derailed when we were talking in news. These things happen. I apologize. We did not get to the other main headline for the show, although at this point it's no longer a headline and has come to its conclusion, and that was the Linus Tech Tips hack. It was kind of right in the middle of all of that, and we were going to get into it, and then just, I don't know, shiny objects, I guess. ADHD is a pain in the ass sometimes, because like I had this whole bit planned and completely got derailed. Don't even remember how. So yeah, my apologies. We were going to talk about it. It's now super well-known material at this point, and Linus honestly has covered it on his very own channel, so no need to get into any gory details here, though it should be noted that I did find the link to both the Linus explanation for what happened, as well as how you can avoid it happening to you, as well as the Theo Joe video that he references in his video. There's a link to that down in the description as well. So all of that being said, that is the one correction we have. We have some follow-ups though to get into. So first up is the biggest one I think we're going to be talking about for a couple of weeks in gaming and tech, unless something crazy happens very soon. But Multiverses is closing. Well, not exactly. The beta is coming to an end. I know probably most people forgot that it was in beta, but lo and behold, it sure as shootin' is. Multiverses is, it's in its second season. Like, how are you still in beta, but you're in season 2 at the same time? But that's what's going on. So Multiverses is coming to a close for the beta. The beta will end in June, so they're just going to extend season 2 through until the end of the beta, and then in 2024, very vague dates at this point. No exact, like June 10th is when it cuts off, and then January 2nd is when you get access to the proper game. As soon as we know that information, we will definitely be talking about it, but as it stands right now, it's still relatively vague. In June sometime, it's cutting off. In 2024, at some point, it will be coming back as a proper game. All of the issues that everyone's been complaining about, all of the what have yous, the fact that they seem to have dropped support for the game, hopefully will be taken care of as of, 2024 when it comes back. But until then, that's what we got. So let's move right along. Next, we were talking about Resident Evil 4. This is actually going to lend some credence to a rumor that we're going to be talking about in the rumor section, so stay tuned for that. But Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries mode will be available in April as free DLC for the survival horror classic remake. That's all we really have at the moment, so we're going to keep moving on. Our next and final follow-up for the section is Lord of the Rings Gollum finally has an actual release date. So Gollum will be released May 25th. This, if you'll remember, was originally announced as a very early first wave even PlayStation 5 game, and now we're like 3-4 years into the life cycle of PlayStation 5 and we're finally getting it. So once again, May 25th of this year, we will be able to play Lord of the Rings Gollum finally. The story, for those of you that don't remember, the story of the game is going to be in parallel with the Fellowship of the Ring story, from the book and the movie and all that jazz. So very interesting, super excited to finally see this thing in action. That's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. So let's move into trailers. We have a doozy of a trailer this week. The trailer, it's technically not a trailer, it's a gameplay demo, kind of. It comes from Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. We got approximately 10 minutes of awesome. I have seen some people complain that this is not what they were expecting. This is not what they wanted out of a Zelda game. And to them, I say, what is wrong with you? All right, so I'm on the fence as to whether or not I'm actually going to get a Switch at the moment, or if I'm just gonna save up and get an Xbox Series console, because either way, I'm behind. This makes me seriously leaning into the Switch idea because, wow, like this looks amazing, amazing. Just all of the new abilities that you're going to be able to take advantage of with Link, and just it's not even like whatever. Go watch the 10 minutes, because absolutely game changing as far as potential gameplay issues, and like just the ability to be incredibly creative is just awesome. It's the reason why I love Fallout 4 as much as I do, because the story kind of sucked for Fallout 4, but you can do an incredible amount of things with that gameplay, and this is in the same vein, though I'm sure the story is going to be far, far superior to Fallout 4. Either way, that's what we have for trailers. Let's get into regular ass news. In regular ass news, we got a huge announcement. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is getting a new game, and this is a huge announcement because it's not beat 'em up like we've gotten from the franchise previously. This is a brand new, well, seemingly dark RPG game that has been announced. The reason I say seemingly dark is because it is reportedly going to be based on the Last Ronin storyline from the comic books. And if you have read that story, then you know just how dark and like mature the story is. I mean, everybody's dead. That's the premise. You have one turtle left alive because everybody else has been taken out, Master Splinter included. And it's basically him coming to terms with that and a number of other things, but like, wow, heavy stuff. And of course it's going to make a fantastic game. No announcements yet as to who's going to be developing the game or who will be publishing the game, just the announcement that it is going to be happening. That's all we really have for the section, except for gaming and tech suggestions. Our gaming suggestion for this week, that's right, gaming, is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because Tears of the Kingdom is coming out very soon, so maybe refresh your memory on exactly where we're coming from so that you can fully appreciate where we're going. That is the suggestion for this week. Get your hands on some Breath of the Wild action. Now let's talk about comic books and books. In this section, we have a really random announcement for a new book from acclaimed and very famous movie director Francis Ford Coppola. That's a thing that's going down. A little bit of an update on the Summer of Symbiotes. I think we've talked about this previously, but I don't remember exactly, so I don't think I put it in the follow-up section. And also a new What If book coming from Marvel. We're going to get into that and a little bit more. So let's jump into the things. First off, no follow-ups or corrections really to speak of, because again, not sure if we've actually talked about the Summer of Symbiotes situation. So let's jump into regular ass news. No trailers or anything either. First thing in regular ass news, Francis Ford Coppola is putting out a new movie called Megalopolis. It's going to be a science fiction movie, which I don't know if I've ever actually seen anything from Ford Coppola that is science fiction, so I'm very intrigued by that idea. But we are in the comic books and books section right now, and that means there's also a comic book coming from this. Ford Coppola, I could not decipher exactly how involved he's going to be with the comic book, but he is going to be rather involved with the movie, obviously, so hopefully that means something incredible for the comic book as well. The book is going to be coming from Image Comics. It does appear that Chris Ryall, who is a former IDW publisher, currently works with what is the name of his imprint? New spotlight for the Syzygy, I think is how that is pronounced, imprint that he runs, but it's all part of Image. And the artist on this is going to be Jacob Phillips. So again, can't really see exactly how involved Francis Ford Coppola is going to be with the comic book. because Ryall is going to be the one writing the book, but it's going to be based on Coppola's work. And I mean, it was said in the announcement that he's going to be involved, but to what degree very much remains to be seen. So that's what we got on that one. Next, we're talking about Marvel's Summer of Symbiotes announcement with I believe this is the 30th anniversary of the creation as far as actual comic book, meta is concerned for Venom. So in celebration, oh no, I'm sorry, 35th. I'm that old. Marvel's Summer of Symbiotes is a celebration of the 35th anniversary of Venom. They will feature a number of ongoing series. I mean, I wish I could have written them all down, but I didn't. The main one, though, is going to be the culmination in Death of the Venomverse, in which Carnage heads into the multiverse for his greatest killing spree yet. It sounds pretty odd. Venom and specifically Carnage, but the two together is really the most I got into Spider-Man. So I'm actually pretty stoked about this, I'm not gonna lie. And then on our next piece, we are talking about a new book from Marvel, and that is What If? Dark. So the What If series, I guess, is kind of multiversal in its nature, in that it's positing a question: what if this minor thing was different in the Marvel universe? And then they write a one-off issue, or maybe a few issues sometimes, about that idea. But generally speaking, they haven't been any overly dark stories told in that. Well, this new What If Dark book is going to be very specifically dark. We're talking like the death of Gwen Stacy, or the death of Peter Parker's Spider-Man instead of Gwen Stacy, and how that changes things, and just really, really interesting. The first book is specifically going to be that Gwen Stacy story. It's coming out in July. No specific date, but again, probably the first week, because that's usually how it goes when they talk about the month. It's going to be released in July. That means it's going to be available the entire month of July, generally speaking. Anyway, yeah, just sounds pretty cool. Probably check it out. And that's what we got for regular ass news. It's what we got for basically the comic books and books section. So, book suggestion for the week. We're talking a little bit more Anne Rice this time around. Memnoch the Devil. My favorite, because I still haven't read the last two Lestat books, but my favorite of the Vampire Chronicles books is Memnoch the Devil. Just, I think, Anne Rice was in her stride when this book came out. 1995 was a great year for her. Yeah, it could be a little bit of nostalgia glasses on my part, because this was the first Vampire Chronicles book that I read, and then I went back to the beginning and caught myself up. But either way, it's quality stuff. You owe it to yourself. Go check out Memnoch the Devil. Real quick, the brief on Memnoch the Devil. 5th book in the Vampire Chronicles series, following the tale of the body thief. In Memnoch, Lestat is approached by the actual devil and is offered a job at his side, which is intriguing to say the least, no? And today's episode, nerds, is brought to you in part by the Your Mom Thinks I'm Advertiser Friendly t-shirt that you can find over at the General Store on generallynerdy.net. The shirt is a remnant of the adpocalypse. That is when I had the idea to make it, but is as relevant today as ever, considering the state of monetization on most social media platforms. So check out generallynerdy.net. At the top, you will see the General Store tab. Click that and you can go right into... There are actually 3 different general stores under the General Store tab. There's merch on all of them, all of which created by me, save for one shirt, which was created by somebody else for me. You can go check all of that out again at generallynerdy.net. And now let's return to the episode. TV streaming is the section in today's TV streaming. We have some very interesting bits to talk about as far as Daredevil Born Again. We're going to get into that. We also have an update on the Venture Brothers situation. That's not the update we were looking for, but we'll take anything we can get. Plus, new Beavis and Butthead. X-Files is in the news. Let's talk about all the things. Starting off in follow-ups and corrections, we have Daredevil Born Again. We're following up on this one. This is a new bit, kind of, from Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio obviously playing the Kingpin again. D'Onofrio saying in an interview with Newsweek this week that Season 2 2 is going to happen. They're already doing pre-production, very early pre-production, but pre-production nonetheless for season 2. Remember, season 1 is going to be 18 episodes. Also, in other news that we have come to recently, there is reason to believe that he is going to be he being D'Onofrio as the Kingpin is going to be in more than just the Daredevil series. So also talking about the existence of Frank Castle in this, just a whole lot of stuff came out of this Newsweek article. So Kingpin is reportedly going to be showing up in a number of other Marvel Cinematic Universe entries in the near future as well. So we're going to have Thaddeus Ross as the president, the Red Hulk president, and then presumably Kingpin as the mayor of New York City. Looks like things are potentially actually going to be going fairly dark for Marvel, which is what the fandom is asking for. So crossing our fingers that Feige's actually listening. From there, though, we move over to Secret Invasion. We finally have an actual release date for this series, the premiere date, rather. So June 21 is the premiere date for the next big hope in the MCU. I mean, Daredevil sounds like it is also going to be big hope as well, but I think Secret Invasion is going to be the thing that the vehicle through which we move into the next phase, whereas the Kingpin bit is just going to fill the current phase. Next, we're talking about the Venture Brothers. Like I said, Venture Brothers update. Not the update we wanted because it's not actually about the movie, but we do have an announcement of a box set. Everything Venture, it's not what it's called, but that's effectively what it is. Everything that the Venture Brothers has ever produced, specifically Doc Hammer, Jackson Public, everything that they've done for the Venture Brothers is going into a box set. And there's a couple of different prices here, and it's a little nuts. So there is a digital only version of this box set where you just have digital copies of everything, and that is in and of itself is going to be $80 US. And then if you want the physical version, so the DVDs of everything, that is going to be, where was it? $135 US for the DVD. Apparently it's a little bit cheaper in Canada, probably because the manufacturing plant exists in Canada, I would imagine, but that's not by much. It's like $10 cheaper in Canada, US. So, yeah, it's great. I'm super excited. I'm very likely going to be spending $135 on some Venture Brothers in the not too distant future, but where's the movie, man? Whatever. Moving along. Next, we have Walking Dead, Dead City, the Maggie and Negan series. We have a release date for that one as well. Premiere date. I know, I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm talking movies, I'm talking TV, and I'm using movie language. So June 18th is a Sunday. That Sunday at 10 p.m. is the premiere date for the next installment of the Walking Dead saga, if you will. Super excited about this. It is going to be following the final episode of the first half of the Fear the Walking Dead's final season. So Fear the Walking Dead is in its final season. They have their mid-season break June 18th. After that episode airs is immediately going to be the first episode of the Maggie and Negan series called The Walking Dead, Dead City. I think that's the TLDR. All right, so that's what we got there. Let's move now into trailers. We got one trailer that had me rolling when I was watching it. Beavis and Butthead Season 2 on the Hulu, or I'm sorry, was it Hulu? Yeah, no, Paramount Plus, sorry. Paramount Plus series, Beavis and Butthead Season 2, Paramount Plus. Go watch this trailer because Beavis and Butthead apparently get married to each other. Just, that's a thing that obviously needed to happen, and I didn't realize it until I saw this trailer. Wow. Yeah, go watch it. It's great. That's what we got for trailers. Let's talk about some regular-ass news. Our first and probably the largest piece in regular-ass news. We got word from Chris Carter, the creator of The X-Files, that Ryan Coogler is going to be showrunning a reboot of sorts. No exact details as to what it is going to be precisely, if it's going to be some sort of legacy sequel series or what, but it is going to be some form of reboot to the franchise of The X-Files. From Ryan Coogler. All right, so at the risk of being called silly names that are irrelevant, I'm going to just put this out there and see if it sticks. Something like this happened something very similar to this happened not too long ago when we got the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone that didn't go over super. I mean, they were good. They just weren't the Twilight Zone. So I have the utmost faith that Coogler is capable of doing something great with this property if he can get out of his own way and doesn't want to be overly preachy with it, which I don't think he's much of a preachy dude. So yeah, I think there is actually a strong possibility this could be great. There's almost as much possibility that this is just gonna fly under the radar and nobody's gonna care, but I think there is a good possibility it will be great. So we will keep tabs on that as things develop. Next, we have a new Adult Swim series has been announced, and this is newsworthy because it's being brought back for a second season before the first episode of the first season has time to premiere, which is not a move we've necessarily seen from Adult Swim in recent history. Honestly, this seems like they're putting a lot of stock into this, like it's going to be their next Venture Brothers or Metalocalypse or something. And judging from the bits that I've seen of it so far, that's kind of how they're trying to sell it too. So hopefully they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. But yeah, season 2, or it's going to be 2 seasons rather, and that's what we got there. Let's move right along. Next, we have real quick, I guess this is technically a follow-up, but a real quick update on the White Lotus series. The season 3 has been revealed, season 3 location rather, has been revealed as Thailand. There are apparently 4 White Lotus locations in Thailand. So one of those 4, the specifics have not been announced, but one of those 4 is going to be the setting of the next season. So that's what we got in regular ass news. Let's talk now suggestions in TV streaming. This week's suggestion is the X-Files. You can stream it in a bunch of different places. If you want to watch it for free, Freevee has it. You just got to sit through commercials. Freevee is the new Amazon Prime free option. Or if you have Hulu, then it's up on Hulu as part of your subscription. Or if you don't mind paying for it, then Amazon Prime has it. You can pay for the seasons as chunks. I don't think you can do the whole thing as one individual purchase, but you can do the seasons as chunks or the episodes as chunks. Either way, go watch the X-Files. With this announcement from Coogler, everybody should brush up, and it's honestly should just be something you watch from time to time anyway, because it's just that damn good. Go watch the X-Files. That is your suggestion for the week. Movies! This is the movie section. So in the movie section, we have Deadpool 3 has made a casting announcement that really needs to be discussed. We also have Aquaman update from Jason Momoa that is really messing with nerds' heads. And then we got Scrubs movie to talk about. Aristocats is the next Disney movie getting the live action treatment, but this one might not be so lost as previous entries in that category. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot more. Let's get into it. So, follow-ups and corrections. Follow-ups in the movies section start with Captain America New World Order. We have official word that Liv Tyler, who was Betty Ross in the Eric Bana movie, that's right, the one that Ang Lee directed that looked beautiful but was honestly kind of hot garbage, that movie, she's coming back to be Betty Ross again. That's right, the daughter of one General Thaddeus Ross, who we know is going to be playing the president in the movie, who's also going to be the Red Hulk, you know, all of that stuff. Yeah, pretty crazy, because that kind of implies that the Eric Bana and the Edward Norton Hulk are canon to the MCU. We already knew Edward Norton technically was. He got fired, but it's still his story leads into all of the other things. Yeah, we know that, but like the Bana movie? Seriously? Okay. Next, we're talking about the D&D documentary that had technically been a rumor up until now, has been officially announced. So the release date also has been announced, kind of. Joe Manganiello has himself taken to the socials and such to say that it will be released in 2024. There is now Wizards of the Coast is getting behind this and starting to do marketing and such for it. So they're building the hype machine, and they've got a little less than a year to do it. So that's, I can get behind that. And then we have the Aquaman follow-up. All right, so Jason Momoa It's really screwing with our heads. Games Radar did an interview with him where he is talking about the future of the character Arthur Curry in the DCU going forward. So maybe he's not gonna be playing Lobo. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, this interview just really kind of throws a monkey wrench into a lot of people's theories as to what's going to be happening after Aquaman 2. Though, if you'll remember back, we did talk about this. Very likely we will be getting a third movie from the Aquaman franchise, and then the transition is going to happen for Momoa, if it happens at all. So at the very, very least, we will have a trilogy of Aquaman movies with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And then it's kind of anybody's guess from that point, because this is just muddying the waters even more. We're taking this one with a grain of salt either way, even though it does come from Momoa himself. Momoa, I can say that name. Yeah, so we'll be keeping tabs on this. We have been, we'll continue. The last follow-up we have is Deadpool 3. We have a casting announcement. Matthew McFadden, who is from the show Succession, he's Tom, he's a greaseball. He's been cast, but they're keeping it under wraps as to who he has been cast as. So let the speculation begin. Who the hell could Matthew McFadden who could he be in the Deadpool franchise? I honestly don't really know, because he's not exactly who I would put in a comic book superhero movie. So yeah, again, speculation, run wild, comment section and such. Yeah, that's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's get into trailers. We got one from Elemental. This is the next Pixar movie that is coming out in June 16th specifically. Trailers sufficient. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith in Pixar, but this one looks like they might be pulling back on the politics a little bit, which is a good idea. Though, honestly, it looks like it's gonna be some sort of allegory for like racism and stuff, which is a better message to send to kids than previous attempts at other socio-political messaging that they've been trying to push on kids. So yeah, the idea of racism being bad, great. Anything that they've done previously that we're not going to talk about, probably less great. Next, we're talking about the Power Rangers Once and Always trailer. We actually have a proper trailer. There's actually been a little bit of controversy with this because what's her name? Amy Jo Johnson came out recently and made some comments that have the fan base in a little bit of a tizzy. She even brought Jason David Frank into it, saying that they both did not agree to do this movie willingly. They had their own personal reasons. Her comments were a little off color in that, you know, she at one point said, well, maybe I just don't want to be dressed up in spandex in my 50s. I don't think that was the thing. I think that was just her saying, it's none of your damn business. It's my decision to not do this, which is fair. But I feel like she obviously doesn't understand nerd culture, because she wouldn't have spoken in such a way. She would have been a little more precise with her words, or probably just kept her mouth shut if she didn't want a whole crazy backlash. Anyway, there's a trailer. The trailer looks actually kind of cool. Real hard nostalgia vibes. Rita Repulsa has returned and the putties are everywhere again. I felt like I was 8 all over again, and I'm probably gonna watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not overly proud about that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's, you know, something to do. The other thing of note in this trailer is, in spite of the fact that Jason David Frank is not in the movie, there is a clip with the Green Ranger, with the shoulder pads and the whole 9 yards Green Rangers. So as far as I know, he was the only one that did that. So it looks like they're trying to make some sort of connection now that he has since passed, which sucks. And that just seems really dirty. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let's move on, shall we? Now let's talk about some regular ass news. We got something of an update. I honestly don't think we've talked about this previously, but Scrubs was a TV show that was actually quite hilarious. I kind of loved it. The creator of the Scrubs show, if I can find his name in the notes, creator Bill Lawrence spoke with Variety saying that a reunion movie is inevitable. So that's all we know about it. Like, there's no confirmation that there's any sort of pre-production going on right now, but the dude created the series. He also is the showrunner on Ted Lasso, so he's got a little bit of clout. So if anybody is able to make it happen, it's gonna be this guy. So if he says it's inevitable, then no reason to argue with the man. Let's just wait for the inevitable to happen, shall we? Just be excited when it does. Next, let's talk about the Aristocats. This is a Disney animated movie that came out in, I believe, in the 60s, because it was jazz related. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 60s. I didn't write the date of the original release in the notes because, say it with me now, I take amazing notes. But yeah, so this is going to be the next live action Disney remake. And there's a couple of interesting things about this. First off, we tried this once with cats, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen. We also kind of did this once with The Lion King, and that didn't blow over so well either. So hopefully they've at least learned from those two mistakes. I know Cats was not a Disney movie, but it was still an anthropomorphic cat movie, so hopefully they don't go anthropomorphic with it. And then The Lion King is, we got to make their faces expressive. I know it's supposed to be quote unquote live action, but you need some expression here. It's just not going to work. So there's that. But the big piece here, I think, is that Questlove, drummer from The Roots, also known as Amir Thompson, yeah. Also known as Amir Thompson, is going to be the director of this live action remake. And not just the director, he's also going to oversee the music, obviously, because he's freaking Questlove, and he's going to be an executive producer on the project too. So this is Questlove's baby, it sounds like, and I'm honestly here for it because I think Questlove is kind of a genius. So let's see what happens there. I still can't really get on board much with the live action remakes happening left and right, but I'm intrigued by the idea of Questlove doing a movie. So that's that. Moving right along, what we've got next is movie suggestion, and I take my nerd card if you want, but this week's suggestion in movies is the movie Definitely Maybe. Ryan Reynolds is in one of, if not the best rom-com ever. I think Definitely Maybe is on a level all its own. I don't care. I don't even care. It's just that damn good. Also featuring Abigail Breslin, Isla Fisher, Rachel Weisz, Elizabeth Banks. Just an incredible cast. All of them with their own nerd cred. Maybe to a lesser extent Isla Fisher, but everyone else in this cast, in this main supporting cast, has some sort of nerdy credibility. So yeah, I just go watch it. If you're too manly to do it by yourself, then have an excuse to watch a movie that your girlfriend will also appreciate, or your significant other will also appreciate. But it's a good movie. Watch it. And now, the rumor mill. Our rumors this week are Mortal Kombat, Collateral, Highlander, Resident Evil 4. Just so you're aware. So let's get into that. First things first, Mortal Kombat. There is a big rumor going around that the next live-action movie might not be Mortal Kombat 2. Or at the very least, there's going to be another live-action Mortal Kombat movie in our near future that focuses specifically on the character of Johnny Cage. This is a weird rumor from a very random source, because basically one of the producers on the first movie did an interview fairly recently where he drops the line that there might be, and it's a single line in this entire interview, there might be a Johnny Cage live-action movie in the making. Is this a misquote? Possibly. Is this producer trying to build hype for his franchise? Very likely. Is this a movie that's actually going to get made or greenlit in any way? Less likely, but because it does come from the producer himself, it gives it a fair amount of credibility. So we're gonna go just above the halfway point and say 60%, and I think that's overly generous, 60% likely that this thing actually comes to fruition. Next, our next rumor is Collateral 2, the Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise movie, is reportedly getting a sequel. This time will not feature Tom Cruise. However, Jamie Foxx, according to the rumor, is set to return and star this time. I believe he was technically the supporting character last time. Michael Mann is also on board to direct. Like I said, no Tom Cruise according to the rumor. This one, I mean, this is the first time I've used this source specifically, so I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say, even though I can't corroborate it through any other sources, we're gonna put it about 50% because there did seem to be a fair amount of actual information as to the director and all of that stuff. So sounds like this will be one that we can debunk very soon. So that's another fair reason to put this right in the middle. 50% likely that this is a thing. Next, we're talking about the Highlander movie, the reboot movie. We've talked about this previously. Reboot movie that is supposed to be starring Henry Cavill. Well, according to this new rumor, Henry Cavill is out and they're looking at Chris Evans to replace him in this movie. Now, if you'll remember, when we talked about this originally, I'm pretty sure they approached Chris Evans before they approached Henry Cavill. I could be misremembering that, but I don't think I am. Honestly, I think that, though, is where this rumor is coming from. I don't think there's really a whole lot of base to this, specifically because this is the same brand new source, specifically other actual news sources that are talking about this movie are talking about it with Henry Cavill in the role. So if Henry Cavill was out of the project, I feel like it would be a little bit of a larger news story at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one at 40%, and again, I'm still pretty sure that's a generous number. And then our next one has to do with Resident Evil 4. This one's actually quite huge. The Separate Ways add-on that found its way into the PlayStation version originally and not on the GameCube version. The Separate Ways add-on has been found reportedly by data miners, so files inferring such things, that it will be coming as DLC. Now, if you remember, we just talked about in the gaming section that we're already getting the Mercenaries DLC in April, and this was already a part of the game previously in the original instance of the original PlayStation instance of the game. So it only stands to reason that this is going to be a thing somewhere in the not so distant future. So 90% likely that this is legit. I will be very, very surprised if this does not happen, especially considering the fact that this is probably going to be one of the highest selling remakes of all time. So yeah, that's what we got on that one. And that, nerds, if you're lost, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, if you don't know, I'm referencing things that you haven't heard of before, that means you're falling behind in your nerd news. So in order to catch up, you got to click or tap the box on my face, or go check out the main YouTube channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Or if you want your news in smaller bite-sized chunks, then the Nerd News Clips channel is where you're going to want to go do that. Also over on the Rumble, so you can, if you don't do the YouTube thing, then that's an option as well. Thank you very much, nerds, for sticking with me all the way to the end. Leave a comment. Let me know you made it down here, man. This is a long one. Before we head out, though, always remember, nerds, that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.